This is He Knows His Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. It's like folks can't take a L, man. I went ahead and I ate my damn crow on Andy Ruiz. So why, you know what I'm saying, these NBBC cats, they can't take their crow. They can't eat their crow. I mean, it's ridiculous. Andy Ruiz won. There's just no two ways around that. What we found out is Anthony Joshua is a bust. When you promote your channel and you promote your pages based on Anthony Joshua, and you've said that Deontay Wilder was ducking Anthony Joshua, and you have come with this false narrative that everything has to go through Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua gets exposed, he gets demolished, he gets trounced. You gotta eat crow, man. There's just no two ways around that bad boy. You guys just learned Anthony Joshua is not what he thinks he is, man. He wasn't that fighter we thought he was. I knew it from the jump because I use common sense. I knew it from the jump because I'm looking at the obvious that was in front of me. I said this before and I will say it again. The man has stamina issues, man. When a fighter has stamina issues to that level and their conditioning is not together, they're not going to give you a quality fight. His stamina issues got exposed in that fight. When he dropped Andy Ruiz, that first knockdown, he was tired. He was gassed just doing that. He went into the fight at his basically walk around weight. The man didn't train for this fight. And let me tell y'all something real quick, man. Because I'm in my T'Challa mode. Y'all see the Black Panther shirt? Let me tell y'all something real quick. Here's the thing that y'all got to understand. So hear me and hear me well. Anthony Joshua should have never took his ass to Miami. Miami can ruin people's careers, man. Y'all don't understand how it goes down in the 305. This is a UK guy. If he was training for Andy Ruiz and he was taking this fight serious, he should have trained back at home. He should have trained in the UK. He should have brought his ass to the United States about 2 to 3 weeks before the fight was ready to happen. That's what he should have done. Now we get it. Andy Ruiz is a late time replacement. And we know the narrative is going to be, well, Anthony Joshua, you know, he was prepping for Big Teddy Miller. He was prepping for Jarrell Miller. He was not prepping for Andy Ruiz. So we don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like he was preparing for another opponent. Listen, man, I don't want to hear that nonsense. Andy Ruiz, hats off to you, man. You just took 100 years of fitness. Like the great Teddy Atlas said, you threw that sucker down the drain. I still believe in the standard of fitness now. I'm not going to go against that. That's not happening. But let's keep it real here. Because we got to keep everything in its proper perspective, folks. This right here is a travesty, man. This is probably the single most greatest upset in boxing. I've never seen anything like this that resembles this to this magnitude. It is ridiculous how this man just got demolished, how he got exposed, and how he got trounced. Talk about fall from greatness. Teddy Atlas said that yesterday on ESPN, and I got to give him credit, man. I got to give him ultimate credit. He quoted the great Marvin Hagler. What'd he say? What'd he say? He said, you can't be waking up and being motivated at 5 a.m. to go work out when you sleeping in silk sheet beds. I'm going to say that again. You can't be motivated to go work out at 5 a.m. when you sleeping in silk sheet beds. This is why I was trying to tell people. Now they understand the term AJ Devo. The man was acting like a Devo, man. Every fighter, no matter what fight it is, prior to that fight, you have nerves. Go listen to Regis Prograis at the end of the fight, man. He was like, this dude didn't have no kind of nerves. He didn't have no kind of sense of urgency. It doesn't matter the level of opponent that you're facing. The sense of urgency has to be there, folks. And if it's not there, that's a problem. That's a glaring deficiency. The man had no sense of urgency. And he took his ass. I'm going to Miami. That's where he went. Welcome to Miami. I'm telling y'all, man. Miami is not for these celebrities, man. It's not for these figureheads. Miami will ruin people. Anybody that's never been to Miami, you got to go down there, man. You'll see what I'm talking about. If you're trying to be a focused athlete at the highest levels, stay your ass away from the MIA. I'm going to say it again. If you're trying to be an athlete at the highest levels, stay your ass away from the MIA. When you running shirtless in Miami, everyone knows you Anthony Joshua. There's going to be distractions upon distractions upon distractions. Now, everybody's talking about this Drake curse, him hanging with Drake. I don't want to hear that rhetoric. Anthony Joshua was not focused. That conditioning and that stamina issue, that was the worst we've ever seen. Worse than what we've seen in the Takam fight. Worse than what we've seen in the Joseph Parker fight, because he was not in his best condition in that fight. That's why that fight happened the way. That's how it ended the way it did. Anthony Joshua has been giving lackluster performances after lackluster performances. And folks don't want to talk about that, man. Listen, you cannot be high 240s, low 250s going into a fight. That's way too much weight. The man has a bodybuilding frame trying to box. This is what separates Deontay Wilder from the pack. Deontay Wilder looks the part, folks. Deontay Wilder has the boxing frame. It's lean muscle. So his stamina is not going to be questioned because his muscular fibers are there to go the long haul. He has boxing muscles, not bodybuilding muscles, masquerading as boxing muscles. You heard Anthony Joshua. He said it out of his own mouth that I'm not losing any weight. I got to keep as much weight as possible because I'm fighting a big boy. Listen, that 268 works for Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz got a lot of people out there like, man, you could look any kind of way and become the heavyweight champion of the world. I'm going to say that again. You could look any kind of way and become the heavyweight champion of the world. But guess what? That fits for somebody like Andy Ruiz. That's not the tell of the tape for everyone. Anthony Joshua has been cheating the system. He has not been training his best. He has not been focused on the sport. I told y'all, man, he's been acting like a fake celestial being, aka a fake god, a fake deity. The man looks like you shake his hand, he got hand sanitizer right next to there so he could wipe his hands from touching your hands. This man has been shaking hands with the Queen of England. He's been shaking hands with princes. He's been feeling himself too much. And he had to get knocked down to reality. I hope this right here regalvanizes him. And I hope in his second half of his career, he could turn things around. Because last time I checked, Anthony Joshua was 29. So he's still young. He could still turn some things around. But the question is, does he have the mindset to turn this around? Because let's keep it real. This right here is the worst upset in boxing. This is worse than the Buster Douglas and the Mike Tyson. I'm going to keep it real, y'all. This is worse. Because in the Buster Douglas and the Mike Tyson fight, Buster Douglas, when you look at what he brought to the table, minus the Mike Tyson name and the Mike Tyson stature, Buster Douglas was every bit the better boxer that Andy Ruiz was. And I'm not taking nothing away from Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz was not expected to win. He wasn't. Buster Douglas wasn't expected to win either. But when you really go back and look at that fight, you're like, okay, Buster Douglas wasn't that bad. That's just the way I see it. But Andy Ruiz, man, shout outs to you, man. Salute to you. the first Mexican heavyweight champion in boxing. We have never had this before. This has shook the waves of the boxing community. So these NBBC nonsense folks, I don't want to hear this crap. Because the guy that you guys were using to come after Deontay Bronze Bomber Wilder, he has been demolished. He has been exposed and he has been trounced. So now you guys have nothing to stand on. Nothing. And I see why you guys are acting slide to the mouth. And I see why you guys are acting all in your feelings about this. But you guys have to do what I did. I ate my crow last night on my live stream. I ate my crow when it came to the fact that I thought Anthony Joshua was going to win the fight. This is the first time that I did not go into the vote and did the tell of the tape. I didn't even go and look at the tape. I picked Anthony Joshua because I was like, nah, this tub of lard here, he has no chance of winning. This is the first time I've made that fatal mistake. I went off of the namesake and I went off of the guy that I thought was supposedly supposed to win instead of actually going to look at the tell of the tape. And boy, did I learn a fatal lesson. Guess what? That shit ain't happening ever again. It is not happening ever again. But you see me? I'm Henos' sport. I can eat crow. I told y'all, I'm almost always right. But I'm not always right. And in this scenario, I was flat wrong. But I take that. Can the NBBC do that? Instead of getting your feelings, can you do that? That's the question. Andy Ruiz, hats off to you, man. You did a hell of a job. You went in there and you said you was going to get that man out of there. You showed yourself to be a tough competitor and a true Mexican Aztec warrior, man. All I got to say is Viva Mexico. I'm going to say that again. Viva Mexico, man. Because you represent it, brother. You represent it. You did your thing. You represented and you put respect back on Mexicans' name for that nonsense that Mikey Garcia pulled. You even put respect on his name. I mean, come on, man. Right now, you the biggest Mexican fighter in boxing. Because everyone knows the heavyweight division is where it's at in boxing, man. I don't want to hear Cinnamon Alvarez. I don't even want to hear any other Mexican fighters. I just want to hear Andy Ruiz. Hats off to you. And I leave on this note. Guess who is the advisor for Andy Ruiz? Y'all know I had to touch on this. It's Haymon, PBC. So guess who has all of the power? Guess who has all of the heavyweights belts now? Premier Boxing Champions. So Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Sports, Anthony Joshua. Let me tell y'all something, man. I know y'all got a rematch clause. And I know you were the champion. And I know it would make sense to run it back. But let me tell you something. There's always a way to get out of a contract. Y'all folks need to wake up. Because Teddy Atlas said something and it made sense. He brought up some boxing politics. That's why I say y'all gotta go watch his ESPN video he made last night. Because he said so many emphatic things on so many fronts, it's not even funny. And the biggest thing that he said was this. Hear me and hear me well. He said boxing, man, it has a lot of politics. And right now, you're dealing with advisors and you're dealing with promoters. But look who has all of the belts right now. It's PBC. So who is PBC going to have to fight? They're going to have them fight each other. You know how PBC rolls, man. They're going to make sure that stable fight each other before they go and fight somebody on the outside. So, although the rematch is something that can very well likely happen, which it should happen, Anthony Joshua should have a chance to redeem himself. On the flip side of it, in the way that he lost, he didn't give himself an opportunity to have an argument for a rematch because he lost emphatically. This was an unquestionable loss. You can't question it. Because the way that he lost, he got the stuff beaten out of him, man. It's not like it was a close fight. It's not like it was a draw. And it's not like it was anything like that. So I get it. There's a rematch clause. But Andy Ruiz, not only did he win this fight fair and square, he took the fight from the champion. He knocked him down. Not, but 4 times. This was a TKO stoppage, folks. The referee stopped the thing. So if Andy Ruiz gets cold feet and says, hey, I don't want to do a rematch, I could see Al Haymon finding a way to wiggle himself out of this. And guess what? Now we may be possibly talking about Deontay Wilder versus Andy Ruiz. Eddie Heard and Matchroom Sports, they probably hot. They probably yelling at Anthony Joshua right now, man. What were you thinking, brother? As you single-handedly messed this thing up. Now it's like you started from scratch. Man, started from the bottom. Now we here, and guess what? And back to the bottom. Because that's where Anthony Joshua's at right now. He's back to the bottom, folks. Man, the biggest and most epic upset in boxing. We're talking about Anthony Joshua, who was single-handedly making more money than Canelo Alvarez. This is ridiculous. How much money this man was bringing in. This man transcended boxing. His namesake was bigger than boxing. And Andy Ruiz came in there and showed you guys that he had the mindset of a fighter. Because when he got knocked down, he got his ass back up. And he handled business. When Anthony Joshua got knocked down, he couldn't regain himself. And you see, in boxing, there's 2 types of hits. There's that hit on the peripheral. Actually 3. The hit on the peripheral, the hit on the chin, and the one behind the ear. Ruiz got the one that's behind the ear. When you get hit behind that ear, man, that's the worst kind of hit. Everybody talk about the one on the chin, but the one behind the ear, you can't get your faculties in order. Ruiz got him a few times in those knockdowns with that. And Ruiz showed me he got some hands, boy. He got that hand speed. But I know we on our high. And again, I'm going to give Andy Ruiz all the respect and all of the credit in the world. But when Andy Ruiz fights Deontay, Bronze Bomber Wilder, all I got to say, it ain't going to be the same kind of show. Trust and believe Deontay Wilder will be ready for that fight. And you want to know what the outcome of that fight is going to be? Bomb Squad. That is the outcome of that fight. This is He Knows His Sport. Checking out.